WP Get. Get found. Real people, real solutions.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how we use a demo website to work with people to figure out what kind of layouts and styles they actually want us to build for them when we create a website. So the website we've created up here is demo.wpget.net. What you'll see on this first page we get to is we've got a typical full screen hero image with a background, point of difference, any guarantees, buy one, get one free, if you're not happy within 30 days, get your money back, whatever it is. Now that, to me, is the big thing that'll set you apart from your competitors. If I went to a website and I wanted to buy some new shoes, for example, and one website says, buy now. If you're not happy within 30 days, return them with no questions asked and get your money back. I go to another website and there's no such guarantee. I'm more likely to buy from the site that I'm going to get my money back if I don't like those shoes. So this is your point where you could actually encourage people to look further at your website, click on your calls to action to do something, but that is an extremely important part of a homepage on a website, I believe, and I think that it should be given some consideration regardless of your business. There may be some kind of guarantee you can offer, maybe not full money back, but results or some kind of guarantee that makes the customer feel comfortable that they can trust you. We then tend to have a call to action. Could be anything. Could be click here to call us now. Click here to subscribe to our newsletter. Click here for more information. It might pop up with something where there's a form here that you fill in and you can download a free PDF guide or subscribe to a newsletter or anything you can dream of as a call to action that you want someone to engage with you. So that's a typical thing. What we do is go through a collection form with our clients where we find out what these things are. So we know how to build the website based on what the client actually wants. And that's going to vary obviously between different clients. So we mainly use this tool or this website to get a feel for what people's preferences are. So on this homepage, we can see we've got a transparent header where we can see the background hero image behind it. And if we scroll, it sticks to the top of the page. That's one design element that might appeal to some people. The hero takes up the entire screen, which again is appealing to some people, not to others. And our content here, we have a heading, some copy, then an image on the right hand side. In the next row we have an image on the left hand side, a heading and some copy on the right hand side, and it goes the full width of the screen. So all of this is designed around being full width. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that is if I go to a responsive mode, as I change the size of the screen, you can see that the content fits the screen. So it just reorganizes itself so that it looks good on any screen size. So that's typically what we call a full screen layout or a full width layout. In contrast, let's have a look at an example of a boxed layout. So immediately you can see over here the difference because it has a little bit of white space there. On a box layout, we've actually got more space on the side there, more on the right hand side. If we look at the content, you can see this space, this white space on the right and left hand side. Looking at the responsive mode on this, you can see under a certain screen size, it sort of moves around and reorganizes itself to fit the width. Once we get over the box width, it doesn't get any bigger. It just creates extra white space around the content. It's to me, it's a bit of an older thinking. I like the idea of using the full width of the screen and putting some decent content there. Sometimes it makes sense to have things that are centered if your content isn't going to be enough to fill that space, but quite often it isn't the case. Now, In saying that, you can also have multiple columns. So I'll give you a great example. If we look at wpget.net, our website, same sort of concepts, our point of difference. We've got a column here where we've got the header above it, and then a section here. We've got the header above it, and then we've got 4 sections underneath that, or 4 columns underneath that. So that could be this here where there's 4 instead of 2, but what we're doing is using the full width of the screen so that we can get more information into a smaller space, still having plenty of spacing around our text, so that it's all readable and not all bunched up, but just using the whole screen to look better, I believe. So let's go back to our demo site. So what we've got here is that we go through, for example, we go to our sample full layout, full width layout. And what we've got up here, it tells us that this is good for content sections with single rows, which I'll explain soon. So this layout has a standard boxed header with scrolls for the page. So this head here, it's got white space on the sides, and it just disappears and scrolls with the page as we scroll. Quite old thinking. We also then have full width sections, 2 columns with images on the sides, and then the staggered text image between left and right as we go down. So here we go, full width. Here's a header, here's some copy, here's an image. So it's typically, it'll be one thing that might talk about a particular aspect of your business, and then there's some supporting image to make it look good. So that's a typical sort of a layout. The next layout, which is pretty much the same as the first one, and I'll explain this, is what it's good for is sections where you've got multiple rows in the section. So for example, team members, our services, our products, etc. So this layout again has the standard boxed header which scrolls with the page. What's different is that we're putting the section headers, instead of being down here, we're putting them above the row. And then we've got 2 rows underneath that heading. Instead of having a heading here and then an image, heading here, and then the image, we've got the heading there, which could be our products. This could be product 1, blurb on that product, and an image of that product. This could be product 2, a blurb on the product, and an image of that product. Or it could be team members, it could be services, it could be whatever you like. But this kind of layout where you have the heading above these rows works when you've got multiple rows underneath that heading. So same example down here. So that could be your team, that could be your products. Now, specific style, background colors, fonts, all that sort of stuff is not what we're looking at here. We're just looking at the layout of where everything sits. All these colors will be worked out when we determine what sort of color scheme the client has as well. So that's pretty much that. So what I've then done is I've gone to the sample full width layout 3, which is pretty much the same as layout 1, except for we've got the fixed header up here. So it just looks a bit different as you scroll through. You can see the header stick there while we do it. Layout 4 is pretty much the same as layout 2, but it's got the fixed header here, and it scrolls. As you scroll, the header stays there, and it's transparent while it's stuck to the top on the hero there. So that's the first 4 layouts. Then we've got a layout 5, which is an interesting layout. This is really good for businesses who have a small number of services or products. So in this one top section, we're going to have a hero, background image. This might be, for example, a masseuse, and it could be a 30-minute session at whatever price, 60-minute another price, 90-minute another price. You can have just 4 or 5 maybe of these. And these can link through to either a shopping cart or a booking system, or they can just link to a product page which talks about that service. So it's really, really good if you just got a few things. Straight away the customer goes there, they go, okay, I want to book a 60-minute session. I just click there. I don't have to go looking through content and products and all that sort of thing. Again, point of difference, guarantees, and maybe some supporting text there. That could be a testimonial slider. It could be a lot of different things. Just depends. This is really about the layout, not actually what the content is in there. So that could be good for menus for businesses that have a small range of products to offer. So the last one we're going to look at here is the sample box layout. Again, this is the box layout, just like in the heading where we've got space on the sides here because that's a box. You've got space on the side there because that's a box. Now the first section I've done here is got a section heading, some copy, image on the right hand side. Next one is section heading, copy, image on the left hand side. Then we've done a similar thing with the layout number 2. We put a section heading at the top, and then we've got 2 rows with the copy and image alternating sides, and same thing here as another section. So it's a second section with the heading above it and alternating on either side. Now, one thing that's really, really important that we believe is very important is that when you do this, imagine this on a mobile. What happens on a mobile typically is it collapses these columns. So typically on a mobile, you'll get this at the top, you'll get the image on the right underneath it. You'll then get this image, and then you get the text underneath it, and then you'll get this text, and then you get the image underneath that. And it's very, very confusing and inconsistent. So what we do is we make sure that when you go on a mobile, when you've got alternating sections like that, so we'll go to the mobile view. There we go. So we make sure that's consistent. So here we've got, in our case, we've got image, heading, copy, image, heading, copy, image, heading, copy, image. So it's very consistent. So instead of going left, right, where it's got you could end up with image, text, text, image, image, text, text, image. It realigns all that to fit in correctly. So that's pretty much what we do with that. So that we walk through all this with our customers, find out their preferences, and based on that, we get an idea of what those customers like. Now, I know my preferences. I really like this kind of layout where you've got the full use of the screen. And if you look at our WPGet website, for as an example, we've got exactly that. We're using the entire width of the screen for the header, for these boxes up here, for this section. We've got a narrow column, then a wide column, alternating to a wide column, then a narrow column, and the alternating again to a narrow column, wide column there. Testimonials go full width, and then down the bottom here, our form is in a boxed with white space on the side because the form would look a bit weird if it went full width. So that's the thinking behind how we work with clients to work out what their preferences are for layouts. Now, one other thing I'll show you here, which is not really related to the layout, but it is related to the style that we use. And I'm going to move this to a different section because it's actually in the wrong place now. But if I click on layouts here, this talks about how we use colors. So what we typically do is we stick with a 3-color design. So from the client's logo or from colors that they've decided that they like, that they want, we define a primary, secondary, and an accent color. Now, sometimes these colors just don't work for certain areas. So what we also do is we take each of these colors and we have, for example, the primary S means the primary color with the saturation altered. So saturation meaning color. So what we've done here is taken this cyan color and we've taken some of the color away to desaturate it and use that as a second color for that. We then do the same thing, but we alter the brightness of the color. We may also alter the saturation to get what we want, and we'd make that our primary B. Now, in an Elementor tutorial, which I'm going to do, I'll explain how we set these and where we use them for consistency. So you see we've done the same thing with the secondary. We've got an orange here, so we take a little bit of the color away and have our secondary S, and we take a little bit of the brightness away and we call that secondary B. So we end up with 9 colors that we can use. Now here's an example of where we use this. See this up here, this section, the background. this colour in the background here, we kind of felt that if we use the primary or the secondary, it's just too colourful, too bright for the design. So in this case, we use the primary S colour for the background. Now, we could just as easily use the primary B colour, which will give us a darker colour that's very, very related to the primary colour, and make the white stand out more. So it would come down to tweaking these colours, getting them to exactly how you want them to be, and then using them in the right places so it augments the design and the colour scheme remains very consistent. So we have a tool that we've created which will actually create these. I'm going to very quickly go to that and show you what we actually do. Okay, so I've got a colour selector tool. So how I create these is I basically go, I'm going to have a desaturation of -30, a brightness by 30, and let's say I pick a colour here and I like this nice bright cyan colour here. So there it is. It automatically creates a saturated or desaturated version and a brightness altered version. So this will be this colour here, desaturated because minus by 30%. And this colour here will be the primary colour with the brightness increased by 30%. So I might look at this and go, well, not quite happy with the variation here. So if I click on my picker, I change to hue, saturation and lightness, I can then adjust my saturation. For example, I might say, oh, actually I want to be less saturated, so I'm going to make that 50%. And I see a bit of an example there. And let's say I want the lightness to go down a little bit as well. So I'll make the lightness, say, 30%. It's too dark, actually. So let's make that, say, 70%. That's still not what I want. So maybe 60%. That's the colour there that I want. There we go. So now we've got a different colour that I'm quite happy with. This one here looks okay, but let's say I want to use that in the background where I have some black text on it. And I really want the black text to stand out, so I just want a hint of colour there. What I would do is go to my hue, saturation, lightness there, and I'd make that, say, 90%. And that's the colour there. Enter. So that becomes my primary with the brightness adjusted. So this is how we work through from the primary, secondary, and accent colours, and work out what the other colours will be to make up our 9-colour palette that we use. So yeah, so hopefully that was useful. And you know, it'd be great if someone could have a look at this video before we chat with them and get an idea of what the point of the video is. And by doing this kind of thing, I think we can get a much better result for our customers because we both understand exactly what they need. So thank you for listening, and have fun.
WP Get. Get found. Real people, real solutions. Call us on 07 3708 1021. Visit us at www.wpget.net.